You can see the screen.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. आज आम डिस्कशन करवा डायरेक्टिंग. Directing the detail तम syllabus रे अच्छी. This is a different type of leadership. Directive leadership. ना प्रथम आम बुझा डायरेक्टिंग कौन. डायरेक्टिंग कौन एडवांटेजेस डिसएडवांटेजेस पढ़िबा. फर्स्ट डेफिनेशन टा मु पढ़े के सुने देछि तारो बुझवा गोटे गोटे वर्ड. In directive leadership, managers guide the team goals. For example, directive leaders may provide coaching, clarify the responsibility, remove any roadblockers, and give praise whenever appropriate. It has a meaning. Meaning, example dele bujhi paribo. What you mean by directive? Directive means anyone giving direction, or in other word you can say dictator. Suppose different types of leadership. बेले बेले कौन होची कंपनी रे डायरेक्टिव लीडरशिप दरकार पड़ुची. माने इफ यू टेल समथिंग मुया कली तमे मुया कहूची तमे या करो. देयर इज नो अदर गो. If your family, if your small group, your friends in friend circle or in a group, you observe that some people have that attitude. They just instruct and expect everyone to follow. That kind of leadership is known as directive leadership. Suppose you take consider of our prime minister. Some people say he is directive. He thinks that this is right. You have to do that, follow that. That type of leadership is called directive leadership. Suppose company or organization wants something to achieve, something to follow, then what they do? They apply something and they expect everyone to follow that. Some leaders will come and apply different mechanism and give the instruction to others, so everyone will follow that. So there are different elements, different features, how one can apply this leadership. That is there in this slide. We can read it and discuss. So for now, you understand directive leadership means you want someone to follow your instruction and you direct. You don't have patience to wait. You don't have something to, everything will happen in magic. That is called directive leadership. That means, suppose you want something to do, your family wants something to do, your father wants something to do in family. So he will simply ask everyone to follow. So you don't have anything to say against that. You just have to follow the instruction. That is directive approach of leadership. It has the different elements. I have given a few elements which are mainly under directive: supervision, motivation, leadership, communication. Supervision means what? Whenever someone is giving any direction, supervision implies overseeing the work. That means you are overseeing, you are observing the work of your subordinate, whoever working under you. After giving the direction, you are observing. Through that, you are making sure the work is performed as per the direction, as per the instruction. So this is one art of observing, watching. The art watching, judging and directing work of workers. Whoever working under you, after giving the direction, you are observing them, you are supervising them. That is called the directive leadership mechanism. One of the mechanism is supervising. Then motivating. Motivation, you know the meaning. Some people are motivated through good talk, good salary, good work environment, work-life balance, and sometimes job security. So there are a lot of factors which motivate the people. That is also one way the directive leaders can apply in their directive mechanism. Motivation. So they can motivate employee through different ways. That means inspiring. তুমি ଯେତେବେଳେ କାମ କରୁଛ ତମେ ଦେଖୁଛ ଲୋକଙ୍କୁ ମାନେ how your leaders are. Sometimes you think, okay, ମୁଁ ଆଙ୍କ ଭଳିଆ ହେଇଥାନ୍ତି କି, ମୁଁ ତାଙ୍କ ଭଳିଆ ହେଇଥାନ୍ତି କି. Suppose you are listening a good speech or you are working with a good leader. So you are observing their work style. So you are thinking how you can follow them, how you can achieve them, how you can act them, or you will be like them. So that is motivation. So you are inspired by that person. So the main meaning is inspiration. That motivation means inspiring, stimulating, or encouraging the subordinates with zeal to work, positive or negative, monetary or non-monetary. Incentive may be used for this purpose. Suppose ଗୋଟେ ଲୋକକୁ ପଇସା ଦେଲେ ସେ କାମ କରିବ, ଗୋଟେ ଲୋକକୁ appreciate କଲେ ସେ କାମ କରିବ, ଗୋଟେ ଲୋକକୁ ଛୁଟି ଦେଲେ ସେ କାମ କରିବ. So there are different mechanism of motivation. So that is one technique, one principle, one element in directive mechanism. Supervision, motivation, leadership. Leadership means what? You must have observed some people, they come forward and lead the work and do something whatever required. बहुत दिन पूर्व तुम गोटे एग्जांपल दउଥିଲି तुम घर मैरिज किंबा जेकोसी फंक्शन. Some people lead the whole thing. Suppose you want to conduct everything, so that means you are a leader. So you are showing that leadership mechanism, leadership capacity, leadership technique in your action. So that means leadership is one mechanism in your directive management. So you are doing all this, you are applying all these elements, all these functions, all these techniques while doing directive mechanism, directive leadership. Supervision, motivation, leadership, communication. The way you are speaking, the way you are leading the meetings, the way you are giving the information, passing the information to your subordinate. So all these are communication. Communication just not giving speech or writing or talking something over phone. Or communication means it can be verbal or non-verbal. So whatever you are communicating, passing, suppose you are walking through a, so your people, your subordinates are observing how you are working, how you are working, how you are going and opening your office. So all these are coming under communication. So everything is observed. So communication is something you are using that technique in directive leadership. Suppose you are very straight, how you are talking to your customer, clients. So that is something your people are observing. So that means you are using that technique in your leadership skill. So how you're observing your people, how you're uh, talking your customer, how you're talking your subordinates, team members, meetings. So everything is being observed by people. So these are four elements, four techniques of directive leadership. That means whoever applying the directive leadership can apply through this technique and follow this technique, and whatever they're doing their in action, suppose in leadership, supervision, motivation, leadership. So everything is coming under this communication. So these are the main elements, main functions under directive leadership. What are the advantages of directive leadership? Whenever you are doing directive leadership, pros and cons. Pros and cons means advantages and disadvantages. Directive leadership can stabilize hierarchical organization. That means what? It can stabilize the hierarchical organization. Whenever you take example of any organization, when the directive leadership is applied or something, someone is leading the action and giving direction to the subordinates. That means there is no need of a different leaders in that group. So one person has identified the uh, group and identified the action and giving the direction. So it has the stability. It can stabilize the hierarchical organization. That means whenever there is a directive leadership, so it will automatically, suppose you want to direct something, you want to do something, you are proactive and you are doing that action in your organization. So the place you are feeling, there is no need of another person who can give the direction. So you are self motivated, you are doing that, and you are taking that place to give the direction. So that's why it stabilizes the hierarchical organization. Directive leadership allows for nimble decision making. So this kind of technique, this kind of leadership allows the decision making skills. So whenever an organization wants to decide something, decide a decide one action, one goals, one objective for the organization. So some direction is required to follow the subordinate, to instruct the subordinate. So that in that case, that will be quick. Directive leadership will be quick when decision making is required. Not everyone wants to lead. Some people they prefer to follow the instructions, some people they prefer to direct. So this kind of leadership will facilitate them, will encourage the people who are willing to follow the leader. So when some people are leading the activity, some people are following them. So this kind of mechanism is useful or encourageable for them. Quick and ready. That means what? Whenever there is something required in a crisis mode, in a critical situation. Whenever a business is willing to do something in a difficult situation. So that type of situation is useful for directive leadership. Whenever a business wants to do something in a very quick time, the organization has no time for certain things, but wants to do something quickly in a very short period. That's why it's told quick and ready. When urgent problems in the workplace arises that need a quick solution. Disadvantage, what is disadvantage? Directive leadership can quickly develop into micromanaging. Sometimes what happens, some leaders, they instruct, that is good, but they follow and ask that person every time. Micromanagement means what? Suppose I will tell something to you, then I will observe, I will watch, I will ask you whether that is done or not in every hour. Maybe you have time till evening, but till evening, before that, I will ask 5, 6 times whether that is done or not. That is micromanagement. So this kind of leadership will encourage that. That is not required. Suppose I have a trust on you, I have given the work to you, so you should deliver me. So I should leave up to you. So how you are doing? So only concern is your delivery. Whenever you are completing the work, you have to give me. So that is one disadvantages of directive leadership. Too much directive leadership can sort over new ideas. Why that is disadvantages? In the advantages, I said not everyone wants to lead. So there are some people who wants to grow, who have an idea. Because of directive leadership, they are not speaking, they don't have anything to speak. They are simply observing the direction, following the direction. So that restricts the new idea, new innovation, so which is a disadvantage of directive leadership. Too much directive leadership can sort out new ideas. The directive leadership approach puts a lot one-to-one person soldiers. It about a disadvantage. Why? The directive leadership approach puts a lot on one person soldiers. That means whoever leading the organization, whoever uh, is taking the ownership, he or she has to do a lot of things in the organization. That means whenever a person is directing, is observing. I was giving this example. This means principal is observing the work. So in the before slide, he's supervising, he's motivating, he's leading, he's communicating. That means that person, whoever directing, who is uh, leading the organization, has taken a lot of responsibility in this. So that are the disadvantages. There are three disadvantages and few advantages on directive leadership. This is in your syllabus, directive leadership, and this is one type of leadership. There are different types of leadership. Some leaders, they are very soft. They want to include their team members in their each of their discussion. They make a lot of private talks. They They understand the team members' personal thing. So that is another type of leadership. Some leaders, they they are very silent. They are very servant nature in the sense like they want to help the team member, they sit there with team member, they work with them. Suppose one person is having a problem, so I am leading, suppose you are having a problem, so I will sit with you and giving you a solution. I will instruct you, I will help you how to solve this problem, how to operate this machine, whatever. So that means I should know the things. So some leadership are like that. So that is servant nature. Some leadership are, I told you, that inclusive. They include the team members when they don't differentiate that you are working, you are a worker, I am a manager, or I am a supervisor. So you are just like me. And this is one type directive leadership. So there are different types of leadership that is not in our discussion. But if you have any doubts, we can talk that. This is one in your syllabus, directive leadership. After that, we'll read another concept which is coordination. We'll take a quick break here, maybe 5 minutes maximum. 9:27. We'll join in 5 minutes. You can give your attendance. We'll join in the same link. Okay?
Okay, sir.